Anytime you create a character that you really love, it's like this amazing thing that happens when a sequel happens. It hasn't happened that many times to me, but Ralph was someone really close to my heart because it came very organically the way I developed the character with Rich Moore and Phil Johnston on the first one. And so I was really happy to see that Disney decided to make another one because it's a beloved character. Venellope's game, Sugar Rush, it's called, the candy racing game where she lives. Um, Someone breaks the steering wheel on the actual arcade game. A person in the real world breaks the steering wheel. Now, this is an interesting new challenge for these video game characters because suddenly Ralph and Vanellope have to figure out, well, how do we interact with the real world? And what is this thing called money? And how do we get it? And how do we find a part in, like there's a huge learning curve for them. And they quickly realize, like, by kind of eavesdropping on the kids in the arcade, that there's this thing called the internet where you can buy things and then they send them to you. And Ralph and Vanellope suddenly realize, like, oh my gosh, we could do this. We could go into the internet, find this money, and then order it through this thing called a website and have it sent to the arcade, all while staying inside of the reality of our video game. It was a big challenge for the animators. Limits and boundaries in some way can kind of like help you to focus on what the rules of your movie are. But when it's the internet, like there are no rules. You literally can create anything. So yeah, so I can't wait for people to see what these guys came up with. He's like the eternal kid. He just wants to stay a kid. So when he sees Vanellope needing to grow and become more mature, like many people, he becomes threatened by that. He sees it as like, I'm going to lose my best friend. So that's a big deal for Ralph. So a lot of the movie, as they move through the internet, is dealing with issues like that, where Ralph realizes, like, wait a minute, like, how do I keep this friendship? Taraji plays Yes, who's the proprietor of this website, BuzzTube, and she's the one who's tracking, like, what's popular on the internet. And she's a little bit, she's kind of like a tough character in a way, because like anyone who chases popular things that are not popular, they completely ignore. So it's a little bit of a hot and cold kind of character. If you're hot, you're hot. If you're cold, she's not interested in you, because her job at BuzzTube is just give people the most popular stuff. So Ralph and Vanellope realize, wait, we can make money? These hearts can turn into money? That's what we need. We need money. So they start making videos, and Yes starts putting them online. And she loves Ralph and Vanellope because these things are very popular. So they kind of form this convenient partnership. Anytime you get to work with the same people again, not only Rich and Phil, the directors of the film this time, but Sara and Jack McBrayer, and these people that I'd worked with in the past, there was no moment, there was no period of time where we had to kind of get used to each other or learn who each other were. Jack and Sara I've known for years, even before we worked together on the first movie. So there was a level of comfort there and fun and mischievousness that was just right there from the get-go that we didn't have to sort of develop this time.
Well, it was exciting just to be back with everybody from the first movie, to work with John C. again and record with him. And it's such a special experience. And with Phil and Rich and Clark and Doc and everybody and Pam and everyone who works there. And it's just it's so collaborative. And then the story, just like with the first one, I mean, this one is completely different. But like the first one, the script was great. And then it just became richer and more detailed and more layered, and until it totally blows our minds, how special. They really care so much about the story, about not just the plot, but all the little pieces that make it extra special and that resonate with, as corny as it sounds, people of every age. There's just something with Venellope that she's just missing something. And then that becomes kind of physicalized. You know, she's missing a steering wheel from her game and she can't play anymore. And that becomes a complete existential crisis. You know, who am I if I'm not a racer? And so they decide to go into the internet and explore this vast, insane, kind of as endless as the universe itself, you know, expanse that changes both of them forever. Taraji P. Henson plays Yes, and she kind of is in charge of, she understands the internet. She knows how to manipulate it, how to get what you want out of it, and teaches us how to make a viral video, and we make a viral video with Ralph. And we are able to make money that way. But with the good of that also, there's also downsides to it. So Shank is played by Gal Gadot, and she is the leader of a game on the internet called Slaughter Race. And it's a racing game, which is thrilling to Venellope, but it's very hardcore. And, you know, it's kind of akin to other games you may know in real life. And she really becomes Venellope's new mentor. And maybe that's threatening to Ralph. I don't want to give too much away. But Venellope really looks up to her, and she takes Venellope under her wing a bit. I couldn't believe that, you know, the powers that be at Disney really kind of allowed the writers and the directors and to have this scene that has every Disney princess in it, with all the original voices, and you know, it really is a nod to progress, you know, even just in a meta way. You see how the princesses over time have become more inclusive and including, you know, more of the people that exist in this world. We've got Rich and Phil, and they work great together. You know, we worked with both of them last time as well, and in slightly different capacities. And they just really are brilliant collaborators, writers, directors, and they both together have brought like such nuance and joy and emotion. And it just makes what we do so easy, so fun, and really, you know, the recording sessions were so joyful, and I dare I say, I think I speak for all of us, that we just really love each other. We've been through a lot of times, you know, it's a many hours, and you know, John and I just come in for the recording sessions, and to us it seems like many hours. It's many more hours for them. And I just, you know, it's kind of, it's just a very special relationship that we all have. And, you know, when we finished recording, John wrote us all an email that just, I mean, it brought tears to my eyes. It was so beautiful, but just, you know, really kind of like friendships for life.
I was like, finally! God, what was it gonna take? I'm a huge fan of Disney films. I guess today my top favorites are Toy Story, Lion King, and the outtakes from Bug's Life. But I was honored. I felt like I'd finally made it. Because, you know, when you see Disney pictures, there's usually big names, large names attached to the characters. So I made it. I made it. How about that? I play Yes, and that's Yes with 3 S's. And she's the head algorithm of a very popular website called BuzzTube. And Venellope and Ralph have a big bill to pay with eBay, and so they need help. An overzealous person at the arcade is playing, and they break the steering wheel. So you know that the arcade games are kind of like outdated. So where do you go to find the part? The internet. So that's why they come to see Yes, because they did a whole bidding thing on eBay, and you know you can kind of get a little crazy because it becomes a, you know, those bidding wars, they become competition, and so they got a little overzealous in the bidding, and now they owe a crazy amount that they can't afford. So they come to Yes, to the internet, to help. Yes because she is the algorithm of the internet. She's the moral compass. She can kind of take you through and tell you what's what, where to stay away from. She can help you if you have a plan or you want something to go viral. She can help you. She can aid you in that. She's just the go-to person of the internet. Pretty cool. I think I was in the studio for like over a year just doing the recording, but I was told that it was 4 years in the making because there's so much, you know, but when it all comes together, we think, oh, they did that in like a month. No. It takes a lot of people and a lot of time to make an animated film. So that was really interesting to watch her grow. You know, every time I went into the studio, they had another color, another hairstyle, another outfit. It was just beautiful. Great process to be a part of. John C. Reilly actually I'm a fan of his work. He has something that makes you want to reach through the screen and hug him. I don't care if he's playing a villain or a sweet person. You just can't get past it. You just want to hug him. Even his voice draws you in and make you want to pinch his cheeks or roll him up and put him in your pocket. And Ralph is a big guy. And he's kind of intimidating, so you kind of need a voice where you're not afraid of him. And John C. Reilly just brings so much humanity to that character. He really does. Sara Silverman is an incredible character actress, in my opinion. I love the things that she can do with her voice, and I love that she has a vehicle where she could show how talented she really is. I mean, as soon as I knew that was her, like the first time I didn't, you know, of course they did the press and all of that, but when you hear it, it's like, that's Sara, like, but it's Sara as a little girl, if that makes sense. She's so good.